So, so now I invite Professor Gill to start the session by welcoming our today's expert.
Uh, Good morning, Dr. Grover.
Hello, good morning.
Dear participants, considering that a number of you were asking so many questions regarding attainment, considering that such an experienced resource person as Dr. Grover, he had been able to uh, get some kind of a response from all of you in terms of interest in the subject. We requested him to teach you regarding the attainment part also today, and he was kind enough to agree at such a short notice. So I hope you'll be able to understand how to calculate attainment in OB. And Dr. Grover, I request you now, sir, to start your session.
Thank you, Professor Sandeep and Professor Gill, and good morning, all participants. Nice, you have been keen to gain more and more information and knowledge about the attainment of COs and POs. Let me add here, I have suggested that let participants know about assessment also, because assessment is a very important component which plays a major role when we calculate the attainment of COs and POs. Because assessment, what we do in the outcome-based education framework, has many more components than the traditional style of assessment. So I hope you will, if you had a session on outcome, then what I am going to discuss will supplement and complement that, and also give you an idea as to how to use those components of assessment to assess cognitive skills, affective skills, psychomotor skills. So the takeaway of this session will be outcome-based assessment and evaluation, importance of assessment as learning tool, assessment of cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domain components of student learning, types and methods of assessment, COPO mapping and correlation matrices, attainment of COs and POs, assessment as a tool for continuous quality improvement. So ultimate goal of assessment is continuous improvement. How we can do this thing, how we can embed this thing, how we can calculate this thing, we will discuss today. Just to help you to appreciate what you know about the traditional style of or a traditional assessment and what is new in the outcome-based assessment. Now it's outcome-based. Now just recall that the outcome-based education says all the elements of human learning, student learning are to be considered. And there is a strong basis for this from neuroscience. Because if you look at our brain, then it has 4 quadrants. Quadrant A is mainly cognitive. Quadrant B is cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. The C is mainly affective. Please see here, moving and feeling, emotion involvement, harmonizing content, listening and sharing. And the quadrant D is Mr. Bhuvender, there is a echo voice. I think some.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I'm muted. Please continue, sir.
There is one more, Kamal. I think one more participant. Sony.
I just knew, sir.
And quadrant D is cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. Please see here why I'm giving you this thing. Because when we decide the assessment tool or the assessment method, then we have to ensure what we are concerned with. Are we concerned with cognitive learning, affective learning, or psychomotor learning? Because outcome-based education emphasizes fostering and enhancing cognitive, affective, and psychomotor abilities. See, in a traditional style we are doing, there's a lot of emphasis on knowledge gain, application of knowledge. Mainly, it is on the cognitive front. That is knowledge. As far as affective, emotions, attitude, and psychomotor manual, our present education system has not been emphasizing it adequately. Now, if you are not emphasizing adequately, then we are not implementing outcome-based education framework as is expected from the, let's say, funding agencies or from the NBA. So outcome-based education emphasizes fostering and enhancing cognitive, affective, and psychomotor abilities. Measuring, please see here, measuring and demonstrating that this has been achieved. We have to, supposing, reorient our education, teaching learning processes, where affective domain is emphasized, psychomotor domain is emphasized, then the student has learned something, then prove it, he has learned it, because OBE wants proof. So for this purpose, we need assessment tools which are relevant to what we are assessing and what we are measuring. That is, I'm using word letter C for cognitive, A for affective, and P for psychomotor. Now please here. Now let us say we need to assessment keeping all these in purpose. This is what is referred to as outcome-based assessment. Now, when I'm looking at the attainment of COs and POs, our goal is to POs which involve these components. So now let's see what is assessment. Assessment is the process of thinking and gathering data and information from various sources, from multiple sources, in order to develop understanding of student learning. That means we collect data with a view to find out whether student has understood, whether student has gained the required learning or not. That's what we wanted. That is what students know, understand, and can do with their knowledge as a result of their educational experiences in the institute. Experiences mean in the institution, students have various type of experiences, not only lectures, they playgrounds, coffee house, drama, all those things, they are all educational experience. And students learn from this. Please remember, see, when we look at the outcome-based assessment, then we need to consider the learning of student from the various activities he is involved during his educational career. So a way of finding out what a student know and can do is assessment. Another interesting thing which you should appreciate, please, is that in outcome-based education, assessment and evaluation are considered as two different things. Now, what is evaluation? Evaluation is the process. Evaluation is the process of interpreting data. We have collected data, we have collated data about the student learning and in the assessment process, but its interpretation is given a different name by evaluation. This has been accepted by ABET. This has been accepted by Washington Accord. So in outcome-based education, evaluation determines the extent to which program outcomes and education objectives are being achieved. So please see here, extent up to what level? 80%, 30%. So evaluation results helps in making decisions and action for improving the program. This is interesting to see. Only after evaluation, we are able to decide where we want to improve, what is next we want to do, and so on. So evaluation is a process which follows assessment and is an integral part of improvement of the total thing. So why assess students? Please see here. अभी तक हम लोग क्या करते हैं? Mainly our assessment mechanism has been examination. Now, in this case, in a present case, the assessment helps students to improve learning. To assess students' knowledge and competences in terms of desired learning goals and outcomes. Desired, please see here, these are all intended to provide the teacher instructor with feedback on the effectiveness of their teaching and how it might be improved. Now, the assessment in the case of OBE framework is not generalized, but is specific to what we are doing. to provide the teacher or instructor with feedback on the effectiveness of their teaching and how it might be improved. Remember yesterday we were talking about the improvement may be negative or positive. So whatever it is, this teacher should be able to know when he is carrying out the appropriate assessment. To provide information for employers about what the student knows and can do. Now, what knows and can do, आप कहेंगे ये कैसे होगा? It will be through documentation. Whatever we do will be documented. Whatever we do will be assessed. Whatever we do will be interpreted. And that record is placed before the employer. The employer knows what all the student learning. To feel a student for further study, jobs or professional advancement. Now, some student may be good in, let's say, in research. Some student may be good in application. So assessment helps us to do that analysis also. Because remember, when we are having student placement, student entrepreneurship, where do we get this idea? Is we get the idea by assessing students for those skills and then helping to develop those skills which are relevant to that particular attribute. So it's important to be clear about the purpose of assessment, because it is unlikely that one single assessment tool will meet all assessment needs. This is again a very important thing. One assessment tool cannot be used for all kinds of assessment. Now, what is to be assessed? Now, the intended learning outcomes. Now, what are those? Remember, in intended learning outcome, we are specifically mentioned there is a discipline, there is a self, there is a society. So, what are the skills? So, practical communication skills, social skill responsibility, interpersonal cultural skills, leadership and team skills, problem solving skills, managerial and entrepreneurial skills, lifelong learning, and so on. So please see here, the assessment is not only knowledge. Assessment is also concerned with many other attributes. Then, now, why we need to assess it? Need to assess it. Student wants to know, sir, madam, how much I have learned. The outcome-based education student is a partner. So student wants to know how much I have gained, how much I have learned. If I say you have developed critical thinking skills, you have developed problem solving skills, or your problem solving skill has been enhanced, that's, he will say, how will I know, sir? How will I know this, madam? He will say through assessment. So assessment is being necessitated by the employers, by the administrators who are the employers, government authorities, funding agencies, accreditation agencies, and faculty. So please see here, assessment is important because there are many stakeholders who want to know what student has learned, what student has gained. And know what happened in the traditional style. In the traditional style, we say that for every same assessment method will be used to assess every skill. It's wrong. In traditional method, if we say for a fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam, have to follow the same assessment tool, then please climb that tree. Is that possible? Can I assess an elephant for climbing a tree? Similarly, use this logic because student learning is of different type. Students learn at different rates. Student gain, some students may be very good in the cognitive aspect, some may be very good in the psychomotor aspect. So they said use different methods. So this, I'm showing it to you because this is one of the limitations of our present educational system. We are using the same assessment technique to assess other attributes. So outcome-based assessment is, outcome-based assessment refers to the assessment of learning outcomes, which has 4 or 5 components. Knowledge, assess it by its own method. Skill, what a student can do, attitude, and like this. So outcome-based assessment concerns with assessing the various components of learning outcome as defined by outcome-based education framework. So outcome-based assessment assesses student learning outcomes. Now see here, when you assess something, then you have to assess what we have taught them, how we have taught them, what are the sources we have used to teach them. So there are special for teaching different kind of different domain skill. We need different teaching techniques. We need to vary our instructional methods. So when we assess it, we assess the not only the outcome, we also, because outcome is connected with the instructional methods. Outcome is connected with the assignments, methods. Outcome is connected with how we collect data, how we interpret data, and then changes, how to make it changes so that student learning enhances. Please appreciate assessment is a very important process in the let's say in the implementation of outcome-based education framework. So with assessment, establish student learning outcomes, measuring and analyzing student achievement of the outcomes aggregated across the program, that is program outcomes, reviewing findings and creating action plan to improve curricula to support services. So what we gain from assessment, it helps to improve things, curriculum, teaching methodology, implementing improvement, and assessing effectiveness of changes on student outcome. So please appreciate these things. The reason I am saying this is because this will help us to decide the assessment method for the attainment. Just to remind you that traditional assessment and outcome-based assessment, now traditional assessment is what our educators are doing, how they are doing. Now in outcome-based assessment, it's important to stick to what our students have become and able to demonstrate. We see here, there we say exam ho gaya, imtihan le liya, itne marks aa gaye, baat khatam. No, outcome says you have to demonstrate what has been achievement of the student. Teaching, in the traditional, we are mainly focusing on input, content, syllabus, lecture. That's all. No, in outcome-based assessment, student learning, we have to demonstrate skills, competence. Teaching and learning are the end. In the traditional method, हमने पढ़ा दिया, मेरा lecture खत्म, तो ठीक है, इम्तिहान पास हो जाएगा, तो difficulties आके पूछ लेंगे. So teaching and learning is used as an end to implement the education process. Now, in the case of outcome-based education, teaching and learning are the means to an end. That means teaching and learning are the tools to gain what we have decided intended outcome. So practice determines the outcome and outcome determines practice. In the case of traditional method, our lecture decides what student is going to do. Now, please here, our lecture decides, our instructional method decides what student will do. Now, in the case of outcome-based assessment, the outcomes decide what will be our instructional technique. So benefits of assessment are not only for the students, they are for the faculty, they are for the university, and they are for the community. Because when we're assessing the program outcome, then community things come in. How do I assess a student is a caring student? How do I assess that student has developed the habit of, let's say, the positive attitude? Because this is also a part of learning. So benefits to students, faculty, helps determine what is working and what is not working. Then facilitate interdisciplinary discussion throughout the university. Provide evidence to justify the resources to maintain and improve. Provide evidence that student learning occurs. Provide data that can inform decision. You see here, the benefit assessment. Then we see in the examination, present examination, we say this is a pass percentage. Student has gained so much marks in this paper, right? But what do you do in that? See, many of you will pose the question, sir, what can we do? If the university does it, yes, agreed, but we have to change this thing. Universities have to change this thing, because otherwise implementation of outcome-based education will be inadequate. So assessment measures, assessment can be done by the direct method and assessment can be done by the indirect method. So assessment measure an indicator of student performance for a particular learning outcome using particular mode of measurement. Please appreciate these things. assessment is an indicator of student performance for a particular learning outcome. That means cognitive, affective, or psychomotor, using a particular mode of measurement, same method will not be applicable. Then the assessment can be direct measure and indirect measure. The direct assessment methods are capture students' actual performance, which demonstrate that specific learning has occurred. This measure requires students to produce work so that the extent to which learning expectations have been met can be evaluated objectively. That means direct assessment method is much more objective and specific to what we want to determine. Now, our examination is a direct assessment method, correct? And direct assessment method helps to provide key insight into what student can do, providing strong evidence of student learning. Now, direct method provide more reliable results. Examples of direct method of student learning are university exams, which we do, course embedded tests, assignments, and projects. That means projects, culminating experience means thesis, dissertation, internship, grading with analytic rubrics. Now, please, you had a session on rubrics. So now I will emphasize where rubrics will be used most extensively for assessment. Employer's internship, employer direct evaluation student performance. Now, the indirect assessment method. Indirect assessment method captures students' attitude, perceptions, or feelings about their learning. That is important. This measurement type provides less concrete evidence of student learning. That means indirect are not that strong evidence, but it's important because certain things cannot be done with the direct methods, but can be used in conjunction with direct methods to gain more insight into the impact of teaching and learning process. That means use of indirect method is also an integral part of assessment like direct method. The indirect method also include data that is related to students, but not directly tied to an outcome. For example, job placement rates, graduation rates, progression, how student progresses, goes. So indirect methods are important, though, and they supplement what we do. Indirect method can be useful in program improvement, but are not, in general, reliable methods of outcome attainment. Please see here. हम लोग consider करना पड़ेगा, but there are certain things. See, examples of commonly used indirect method of student learning: alumni, employer-student surveys, graduate exit surveys, departmental surveys, curriculum, syllabus, etc. So, assessment of learning outcome. Now, please see here, having designed the intended CO and POs and teaching, we need to find out how our students have achieved the intended learning outcome. Yesterday, we saw how to design course outcomes and program outcomes. Now we want to see, after having delivered the necessary lecture or a session, whether it has been achieved or not. How to make extent to be they achieve these learning outcomes. So OBE emphasizes that the assessment measure used must be relevant, appropriate to what is to be assessed. That means it's not a generalized method. For example, we must consider how to match the method of assessment with different elements of LO, learning outcome. LO, let us say, learning outcomes that demonstrate good presentation skills to be assessed by requirement that each student makes a presentation to their peers. Now, this is what we are doing at present, but it needs to be such that when a student makes next presentation, he knows what are his good points, he knows what are his limitations, he knows how to improve it. That's where the significance comes. So the characteristics of realistic assessment is, realistic and authentic assessment are integral part of engagement system, that you know. Trustworthiness, whatever I do must be trust. Now, supposing I assess the team working of a student, okay, I cannot assess the examination. If I want to assess the problem skill of a student, or if I want to assess the psychomotor skill of the student, I cannot do it with the examination. Now, even if I do with examination, that will not be as reliable, because student will like to know, sir, आपने जब machine use कर रहा था, आपने किस चीज पे कितने marks दिए, क्यों दिए? मेरे तो आने चाहिए ऐसे. So that means whatever we, especially in the case of affective domain assessment and a psychomotor domain assessment, trustworthiness and credibility is important, and what is the method. So any assessment must be credible, transparent, and fair as it involves mutual responsibility. See, in outcome-based education, the teacher and the students are partner in the assessment. It's very interesting. How? We'll see that. Being developmental learning activity need to be reliable. See, assessment is a developmental learning activity. Assessment contributes to the learning of the student. Assessment contribute to enhance the or foster the skills in the student. So it must be reliable. Contribute to curriculum design and quality assurance, and must be criteria reference. That is what we are doing. So now the issue is how to create realistic assessments. When creating assessments, focus on what are outcomes that are being assessed: cognitive, affective, or psychomotor. Is the level appropriate given the objective of the course? Supposing first year student, second year student, third year student, fourth year student, it must be appropriate. So how well does the assessment process match the learning outcomes being assessed? Is the assessment organized in such a way as to aid clarity and understanding of requirements? This is what a realistic assessment will demand. And these aspects cannot be implemented with the traditional method of examination. We need to have another method which is very well established to measure intangible skills as the rubrics. We are being exposed to rubrics, but keep in mind, it's a very powerful tool. Now, Balwinder ji, ठीक चल रहे हैं?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's going very fine, sir.
Okay. The assessment types. See, now let us look at assessment types, characterized as summative or formative assessment. We are doing all this. The reason I'm bringing out this thing is because later on when we calculate attainment, these will be emphasized. There may be certain issues. Now, cumulative assessment reveals what students have learned at the end of the course, implemented via tests, quizzes, and other graded course activities that are used to measure the student performance. Continuous assessment, we are doing all this also, used to measure student learning on an outcome basis, implemented via internal periodic tests, written commandments, students receive input, feedback, like this. Now the end semester assessment, we're all familiar with this. I will just skip it. Then assessment techniques, how to choose that. Assessment technique, how to choose the assessment technique. See, I have been emphasizing this thing. Can depend on what you want to measure. What is the best for one outcome will not be appropriate for all outcomes. However, all good assessment teacher properties, they are valid and reliable. The assessment technique that you use must be valid and reliable. They provide evidence that can be acted upon. That means on which action can be taken. They are efficient and cost effective. ऐसा नहीं है कोई assessment tool ऐसा use कर लो कि उसमें बहुत time लग रहा है या बहुत खर्चा हो रहा है. They engage students, faculty, and stakeholders. So when we choose these assessment techniques relevant to these things, so how we select the method, match assessment method with learning outcome. I think it must have been discussed the various assessment methods for various instructional tools. Assessment results should be easily interpreted and ambiguous. Data should not be difficult to collect or assess. Identify multiple methods assessing each outcome. Now, it is again very interesting. Outcome-based education says you assess a particular outcome, preferably 2-3 methods. They will direct as well as indirect. So this is also important. Direct and indirect method, qualitative and quantitative, passive and active with different courses. Different courses may have different kind of, let's say, requirements. So decide that. Now the linking of learning outcome and assessment criteria. There need be an alignment between teaching methods, learning outcomes, and assessment criteria. Assessment is not, in that sense, something which I mentioned earlier, correlation between teaching, learning outcome, and assessment helps to make the overall learning experience more transparent and meaningful result. That means teaching instructional method, learning outcome, and assessment technique, they must be in a way properly aligned. Now, how do we do that? Here is a list of the teaching learning activities and assessment tools for the various domains. These are all suggestive. There is no mathematical rule. These are all suggestive, learned from experience, and is based on many of the studies, experimental studies. So how we link learning outcome, teaching learning activities, and assessment. So learning outcomes are cognitive. That means demonstrate knowledge, comprehension, and so on. So relevant teaching learning is lectures, tutorial, discussion, and laboratory work. Right? We are doing all this. And of course, module 2, that means exam, multiple choice question, essays, lab report, viva, practical assessment. We are doing all this. But when it comes to effective domain, then we are doing all this also. We will say there is a group work, there is a seminar, agreed. And we have field work, we have presentation, but what we don't have is the rubric. There are hardly any institution except when NBA has forced them, they are using rubrics. But now, dear participants, now if you appreciate when to use rubric, so it will make a learning of the student more effective. So a psychomotor skills, performance, project work, etc., and the rubric. So this is how we decided. Learning outcomes and relevant assessment methods. Now we give you another thing. See, here I have given you something which is, let's say, domain-wise. Now, what is the higher thinking skills? Higher level learning of student. Remember, yesterday we talked about creativity. Now, how do we specify creativity? How we specify thinking of the student? And the goal is again to improve third, fourth, fifth, and sixth levels of Bloom taxonomy. So we say, we want to assess the critical thinking capability of the student. How to make judgments? How to assess this? The assessment here is through essays, report, present case for interest group, book review, and so on. Solving problem and developing plans. How do you do this thing? Assessment method. Now these are again, remember, sample method. You can think of better if you can come out with a better solution. Now those solutions has to be worked out not by the teacher alone, but have to be demonstrated its applicability to a wider section of the faculty. So group work, work-based problem, analyze and case conference, and so on. See, following procedure and demonstrating techniques, especially these are for medical learning. Demonstrate, make a video, lab report, managing and developing oneself, then group work, portfolio. Remember, there is a project management. 11th program outcome is project management, which involves self also. Now, how to select assessment method? Then accessing and managing information, demonstrating knowledge and understanding, designing, creating and performing, and communicating. So I have just given you an idea of these things which you should keep in mind. Now, our assessment tools for COs and POs. Now, again, assessment tools for PO and CV may be same or different. Exit surveys, exit interviews. Now, I have given here as assessment tools relevant to program outcomes by P, and assessment tool for course outcome as C. So these tools may be common, they may be different. Here there is no hard and fast rule, ye kyun hona chahiye, except our logic. Now program, because program outcomes, they are integrated outcomes. So here employer comes in the picture, alumni comes in the picture, job offers, admission to graduate schools, performance in group and internship assignments for program and assignments, which means the assessment tools which we can use for the assessment or collection of data for the course outcomes and program outcomes may be similar, may be common, or they may be different. Now, assessing intangible and indefinable attributes and learning. This I am emphasizing in all my lectures because that's a weak point with us. For example, intangible and indefinable attributes, ethics. How do you assess ethics? How do you assess attribute? Motivation, how do you assess that? So, creativity, innovation, problem-solving skills. Now, these cannot be quantified or measured by traditional methods such as examination. So, however, these can be imbibed and developed as has been shown by research in neuroscience. The reason I am saying is, in our educational system at present, we are very weak in imbibing these skills, these learnings in the students. Every student has an inherent capability. The purpose of education is to enhance that capability, is to enhance and develop that ability. Outcome-based education says every learner can learn everything provided appropriate teaching, learning, and assessment tools are used. Very interesting, recommendation of outcome-based education framework. So these cannot be quantified or measured by traditional methods such as examination. However, these can be embedded, imbibed, and developed as has been shown by now. Another thing is these are majorly cognitive, and cognitive is brain. Brain is a muscle. Muscle can be developed, and muscle can be developed with the help of education. Brain as a muscle can be developed with the help of education. So please just try to appreciate that these intangible skills can be assessed only with the help of rubrics, which you have learned already. So I've just given you an idea. Now, how to select the best method? There are a variety of methods: direct method, indirect method, rubrics. In fact, rubrics sometimes is a borderline. So decide the assessment methods in relation to what you assess, its reliability, its validity according to that, timeliness and cost, motivation, that means provide students. Students are key to learn those things. Results to easy and understand, and changes that can be. So these are some of the criteria. This is some of the guidelines. Let's say it's a guideline to choose the assessment method for any of the learning component that you want to do. Now, the challenges are I already given you. One size does not fit all. Some methods work well for one program, but not for other. Now, do not try to do the perfect assessment one at a time. To take here also. Do not do things that my let's indirect method feedback has to be accurate up to this. It's not like that. These are empirical. They are dependent on the judgment of the faculty members, judgment of the assessor, and so on. But they have a guideline. So, and once I give a feedback to the student or feedback among ourselves, then as a teamwork, as a team of faculty, we can focus on these things, we can improve on these things. So match the assessment method to the outcome and not vice versa. Please appreciate this also. It's not that we have assessment method, we are given, we want to examine critical, and then we assessment method should be according to the outcome we want to measure and not the other way around. So realistic assessment, now enhancement of higher thinking skills to assessment and evaluation of annual semester examination question paper. Now I am going to share something with you. This you may not find immediately of use, but this will give you an idea how to improve using assessment. Because assessment, examination is assessment, question paper that we set in assessment. Now, the question paper that I set is a mode of assessment. Now, these question papers can be set in such a way that it improves student learning. Very interesting. So I want to share it with you with a simple purpose of demonstrating the question paper that you set as an assessment tool should be such that they correspond to the higher levels of Bloom, higher Bloom levels. But then how do I assess that? So how do we do that? So questions for learning outcome may be at any of 6 levels. This is for the cognitive domain. I am focusing on the cognitive domain because it's easier to discuss. Though the discussion is applicable to other domains also. Now analyze the questions. How do you analyze the questions? When I say I'm embedding cognitive, affective, how do I do that? I have the assessment method through a question paper, which means a question paper which I design for assessment should have the element of assessing these. Now, how do you do that? Use the action verbs and then analyze the outcome, analyze the assessment based on the response of the student. So analysis may be performed to assess which level is being emphasized in any question paper. This can help decide standard of assessment and where to improve from. See, assessment एक mechanical assessment नहीं है. Every assessment should be such that it helps us to improve. So question paper, I'm taking example because you are all familiar with this. Now here is an example which I had taken from one of my visits. Now say paper-wise personal analysis cognitive domain levels. Balwinder ji, you find this should be discussed or I can skip this?
Sir, this is very much required. Sir, please discuss.
Okay, thank you. ना reason मैंने थोड़ा सा ना अपने lecture को broad कर दिया क्योंकि significance of assessment is important and then
yes,
we
sir.
incorporate all these while attainment.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, participant, and thank you, Balwinder. Now, see here. How do I assess that my question paper which I have set emphasizes the cognitive component, emphasizes affective component, or psychomotor component? Then how do I differentiate? Because in the first year, one component, one domain will be more important. In another, let us say, a course on music, the affective component may be more important. How do I do that? So this will get reflected in the question paper. Here I give you an example. Paper-wise analysis of cognitive domain levels. Supposing, let us say, take 8 question papers. Just an illustration. Please appreciate these things and do ask questions at the end. Let us take 8 question papers containing only cognitive domain questions. I'm leaving out affective and psychomotor. और basic mechanical engineering program and analyze them. ठीक है? अब देखिए, remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate. Now there are 8 question papers. In first question paper, the number that has been assigned to the type of remembering questions is 40%. And there is no question in the paper which addresses, create or evaluate learning of the student. This is paper 1. Now let us take paper 8. Here, again, remembering component questions. Question pertaining to remembering component, please see here, is 28%. Understanding is 38%. And again, there is no component on evaluate and create. Now, when I look at such question papers, I would talk to the faculty and then try to find out what was your goal of assessment of students as regards the cognitive learning. You want to emphasize the lower levels, or you emphasize the middle levels, or you want to emphasize the upper levels. Now, this 8 question paper analysis brings out that is most of the emphasis on the lower 2 levels, remember and understand. There is a part, there are variations, that will be variations, the human being, हम भी लोग set करते हैं, but it indicates the significance that the question paper did not take into account the student assessment at the evaluate and creativity level. That's significant. Now, this could be, let's say, maybe this could be first year. I go to now fourth year. If I see a question paper like this, I would request the faculty to improve the assessment method. Please here, in third year and fourth year, I would expect the more questions of the higher levels, analyze, create, and like this. So as nature of question considered fall under cognitive level domain, hence analysis focus on cognitive skills. Please appreciate this assessment. Please appreciate this. This assessment gives an idea about the standard of the questions, about the level of the question that we are giving. So paper-wise analysis जो मैंने किया है उसी का description है. So now here we see competitiveness shows the 86% marks asked in examination test, lower grade skill, whereas only 14% question paper asked the higher level, thus implying that the question paper must focus on the higher order cognitive skills. Please appreciate, this is the result of our assessment. When I assess these question papers, then I am able to make this observation. Now, this observation is very important for the faculty. This is of extreme importance for the standards of the, is extremely important for the teaching and learning process, and so on. Because they provide us the hints or benchmark for this. Another thing, analysis of question paper is any response by students can be analyzed to find out what percent of students have passed or failed in the Bloom taxonomy perspective. Thus, now please see here, this is the type of question paper. This is the type of student learning. This is the type of student learning. They are assessing the type of student learning. Now we find here, this example illustrates that students, 60% students were good at the knowledge level, 30% students were good at the comprehension level, and 20% students were good at the application level. Which means the quality of the student learning, not the question, quality of student learning, please appreciate, is such that large number of students have a good grasp, has a good knowledge, but their application component is very poor. Thus, emphasize the application component. So, question paper and the response by students can be analyzed to find out what percentage of students have passed or failed in any Bloom taxonomy level, thus indicating the quality of student learning. Please see here, I'm emphasizing it that this you may not come across these kind of, these kind of learning frequently, but as a faculty member, because you are all very competent, highly qualified, keep this in mind. Now, assessment method help to improve the course. How does, see, outcome-based education says improve. How will you improve? Did I improve my course? How can I improve my course? Again, using assessment method. Examples of changes that may be implemented as a result of assessment, which I've seen earlier, changes to the assessment plane, revision of intended learning outcome, revision of measurement approaches, changes in data collection method, changes in target standard, changes in the sampling, what it is using. So this is we are able to do because you are using the relevant assessment methods. Changes to the curriculum, what changes we made. Then changes in teaching techniques, revision of prerequisites, revision of course sequence, revision of course content, and so on. So please see here the assessment method, how they help us to improve the curriculum, delivery methods, and so on. And then assessment has the continuous improvement because assessment is an ongoing process. Continuous improvement. For an academic program, refer to the systematic user information relative to the program quality determine improvement that can be made into the program. Improvement means looking at how COs are affected, how POs are measured, It's a good practice for a program to continue to assess its ability to produce a graduate that are ready to enter the relevant profession or needs of the program holds. So this will help us to improve continuous, because for each student outcome, identify sources of assessment data, collect assessment data, evaluate assessment data, then see what action is to be taken. If action is to be taken, no action, then continue the process. If yes, determine action needed and implement action plan. So this way, as collecting data for assessment and evaluation helps us to improve student outcomes. Now let's come back. Mapping and POs. Now what you have been saying, we'll spend more time on this, and I would like you, I will go slow, and please focus on what you would like it. Because this is again a numerical computation. Let's say if we decide 6 course outcomes for each course, and there are 12 or 15 program outcomes, and for each program, let's say there are depending on number of papers. So I will go slowly. Yesterday we saw mapping of CO and PO for one course, right? And I'm using the symbols 1, 2, 3 data to indicate there is correlation between strong correlation, moderate correlation, and slight correlation, right? So this I will discuss yesterday. Then mapping all the course outcomes. See, let us say in a diploma course, there are over a period of 3 years, there are 30 courses, and there are 8 program outcomes. Then 30 courses will have, if you give 5 outcomes for each, 5 into 30, 150 course outcomes, and then the mapping. Please see here, that's why we need to use Microsoft Excel, online data. It's possible, but try to understand first. Do the mapping of all different courses and POs. Here I have given an illustration, first year, second year, third year, and fourth year. Now here I have taken the 12 program outcome as specified by NBA, and then considered maybe 2 or 3 program specific. So I'm using, we look at the notation I'm using, that's what is going to be of significance. So attainment of course and program outcomes. Please see here now. First thing, prepare course outcomes. Now you decide 4 or 5 or 6. Some may have 5, some may have 4, some may have 7, but it is again faculty decision. Now, learning outcome statements are prepared following Bloom taxonomy. Now, I'm using suffix 1 to indicate course 1. Course outcomes are mapped to program outcomes as shown in the next slide. I denote course outcome by COJ, J going 1 to 6. J is a subscript, it goes from 1 to 6. Second table, mapping of course outcomes and program outcomes. It is also referred to as course articulation matrix in the NBA SAR. And then take average of course outcomes for PO1, PO2, and the number of POs that you have decided. I have decided here 3 PSOs and 12 POs. So this table gives estimation of each POs for one course. देखिए आप ये बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग चीजें हैं इसमें आपको teachers have to sit together, make a decision of all these things. Now I'm indicating them as A1 POK, where K goes from 1 to 12 plus 3. अगर मेरे PSO 3 हैं तो मैंने 3 ले लिया. K is number of POs, जो कि NBA के 12 हैं और वो. This example I am giving you, which was implemented for a course in Maharaja Agarsen Institute of Technology, Delhi, which follows the examination pattern system of Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University. To prepare such table for all courses and estimate average POs for them. Then table 3. Now prepare the program articulation metric for all courses. Now here we assume there are 96 courses. We will have course outcomes for 96 courses. So if each one is a 5, let's just for sake of argument, 5 into 96. That means 480 entries. Here, small a indicates average for a course as estimated in the previous slide. Capital A indicates overall average. There will be 96 entries. That is equal to the number of courses, one for each course. And denote this as I going from 1 to 96. Average indicates direct estimation of each PO from all considered CO. Denote this as A POJ. J is 1 to 15. If I am taking 3 PSOs, or 12 is the NBA POs. Then, now this is what the entries are, how data was collected, how the assessment were made. Now let's look at this. Assessment tools or evaluation of COs. Assessment tools which were used in this case for the evaluation of COs. Direct assessment tool was external assessment and term examination. Indirect assessment tools, course exit survey and feedback. Because NBA desires that after each semester you do the course exit survey and take the feedback of the students. Though I had mentioned there are other methods also, but these were the ones which were used in this computation. Then internal assessment. midterm exams. This is what Govind Singh University does. Tutorials questions, assignments, class tests, internally developed assessment exam, the internal exam, project presentation, and oral exam, etc. This is what Guru Gobind Singh University proposes as the internal assessment tools. Now, please see here, Maharaj Agarsen is an affiliated college of Guru Gobind Singh University. It follows the guidelines, norms, and standard as set by the university. Is it okay?
Sir, participants are requesting to make your PPT full screen. Can you make that, sir?
Full screen? अच्छा एक मिनट अच्छा बस एक मिनट आप देखो.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, participants. वो आपने अच्छा किया. Please give this feedback. And now it's okay till then, till now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because we are concerned with the attainment. Now, attainment means what? We have to decide the level up to which we want to achieve. So, first thing is decide the target. First thing is let us define the target. It's an affiliated college. There are two possibilities. One possibility is we look at the percentage of marks of the students, their performance based. Case A, target may be stated in terms of percentage of students getting more than the university average. Now, for any subject, there will be university average. You can take it from the university results. Then say percentage of students getting more than the university average marks in the final examination. This is what is referred to target based on student number performance in the university examination. Second case could be target may be stated in terms of percentage of marks obtained by students in the final examination. That means what percentage of students have got marks more than this. This is what is called performance based. Target may be stated in terms of percentage of marks obtained by students in the final exam. Now, please see here, this is more relevant, this is very useful for autonomous colleges. Now, when I say achievement, what does it mean? Please see here, the definition of the term target and achievement. This is what needs to be appreciated by dear participants. Target and achievement. Achievement is measured in terms of actual number, percentage of students meeting the target. Achievement is measured in terms of actual percentage of students meeting the target. That is, getting preset percentage marks in case A or predefined percentage marks in case B. Depend करता है आप क्या करते हो. After deciding the target, attainment levels are defined. I hope it is clear.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Now setting up target attainment level for all courses. We are ICOs. Please see here. I will repeat, need be there, or you can ask me to repeat, whatever you like. Now, after having decided target, now target मान लीजिए 6 है और levels क्या है? Level में भी let's say 3, 4, 5 or 6. So now attainment levels for all courses. Now here we are taking attainment levels at dividing into 3. Attainment level 1, attainment level 2, attainment level 3. Is what we have decided. How do you define attainment level 1? 60% of students scoring more than university average percent marks in the final examination. Remember, the first A case was student number based. Attainment level 2 will be 70% students scoring more than average university average percent marks in the final examination. And level 3, 80% marks scoring more than university average percentage marks in the final examination. Now I have taken 60, 70. No one stop, lets you take 70, 75, 80. It's again your choice. Or you can take 70, 80, and 90. Again your choice. What I am discussing with you, what has been taken, and these are for illustration purposes. And case B is performance based. That's number based, performance based. Now for any given program, department decides as follows. Now see, the department decisions. See, another beauty of the outcome-based education accreditation is, we say, well, let the department or the faculty decide what they want to do. From there, as expert, we judge whether the standard which has been fixed by a particular institution for a particular program is up to the mark or not. If you set up, let's say, in student number, if you say 50%, 55%, 60% target level, we say this is no good. But engineering student getting less than 70 or 75% is not acceptable. Industry will not accept it. Though base is yours, then you have to demonstrate, yes, we are able to attain 60%, 70%. So in a performance-based criteria, for any given program, department decides as follows. 70% students get at least 60% marks in the final examination. Students get at least 70% marks in the final examination. And 70% students get at least 80% marks in the final examination. So we have attainment level 1, 2, 3 for this. Now here you can say, instead of 70% students getting 65% marks, you can decide 65% marks, 70% marks, 80% marks, 90% marks. That means it is your decision as faculty, as a department. Now, I have chosen here 3 levels, attainment levels 1, 2, 3. It is not important that you stick to 3. You can have more than this. Program may decide 5 attainment levels instead of 3. Please see here, That means again a choice is with the faculty. For example, attainment levels, very high score 2.5 to 3, high score 2 to 2. Medium, and so on. Point I'm trying to make out is decision of the levels, attainment levels, is of the faculty. Now look at course outcome attainment calculation. Because the assessment, direct assessment and indirect assessment, and assessment gives us the data, information, and that information is used to arrive at the attainment of the students. This is a numeric number, but there is a justification, a basis for this. It's attainment through direct assessment. Now please here, say, assume, target attainment through internal assessment. Internal assessment means midterm exam, yes, presentations, assignment, etc. Mirror attainment, I will call it 2. You might see it. Target attainment through external assessment, that end term examination, moderate 2. External examination and internal examination. Attainment through indirect assessment. Now I say target attainment through course exit survey. I say 3. Please see here. Here is the catch. Intentionally, because this is because a realistic calculation. Because I want to have better the exit survey. तो मेरे हाथ में है. तो मैंने जानबूझ के लेवल 3 कर दिया. तो ये पॉसिबल है. और इंटरनल एग्जाम और जो यूनिवर्सिटी एग्जाम है उसमें 3 का मतलब क्या मतलब है? स्टूडेंट परफॉर्मेंस मस्ट बी वेरी गुड. तो मैंने वहां पर मॉडरेट रख दिया. आप 1 भी रख सकते थे, बट देन एज एक्सपर्ट वी वुड हैव क्वेश्चन यू, क्या 1 क्यों कर रहे हो, व्हाई नॉट 3? तो आपको जस्टिफाई करना पड़ेगा. सो वी डिसाइड दीज लेवल्स एट अवर इंस्टीट्यूट department level. If you make it too low, you will question. If you make it, you will not like to make it too high, because that achievement may be a little more difficult. So we have somewhere a compromising approach. Now, here is the course. I have taken the total number of students in a class, and please see the symbols. Take the example, and this is to be done for all the courses. Total number of students in a class or institute enrolled for one course is say 120. Number of students is 120. Average marks obtained by all students in the university, average student average, is 65%. Now, total number of students of a class or institute scoring greater than 65%. Please see here now. Out of total 120 students in the end term examination, repeat, total number of students of a class of the institute scoring marks greater than or equal to 65% out of 120 students is 89. The number of students of a class scoring greater than 68% out of 120 in the internal assessment. Please see here. Earlier is internal examination. This is the internal assessment, which is a midterm plus assignment. And let's say this is 85. These are the direct. Now let us look at the indirect. Total number of students of a class or institute who filled more than target 65 marks in course exit survey is indirect. So we have direct internal examination and internal assessment. Indirect is survey. Here, 105 students scored more than 65 out of 120. What is the percentage? In the first case, 74%. In the internal assessment, 71%. And in the exit survey, 87%. अब देखो जरा मैंने आपसे कहा था इंस्टीट्यूट डज लाइक दिस क्योंकि उसे मार्क्स ज्यादा मिल जाते हैं। अब देखो कि टारगेट अटेनमेंट लेवल ऑफ a class or institute in internal examination is more than 70 but less than 80, so attainment level is 2. अब याद करिए पीछे से attainment level 2 ये मैंने पहले डिसाइड किया था। I had decided this first at the institute level and then looking at what has been done, यहाँ मैंने वो कैलकुलेशन करी looking at result of students. Now in the internal assessment they got 71%. So target attainment level of class is again 2, get between 70 and 80, that is moderate. But when it comes to the indirect method, course exit survey, we find that 87% scored student and target attainment level of the class issued through course exit survey is 80%, greater than 80%, which is level 3. मैंने यहाँ पर डिसाइड किया था more than 80% is 3, between 70 and 80 is 2, between 60 and 70 is 1. Now please see, now I will use this data to estimate course outcome attainment, final CO attainment of a course. क्योंकि उसमें डायरेक्ट भी है और इनडायरेक्ट भी है। So overall attainment of the course, including both internal and external assessment. Please see here. Here we have internal and external. Now exam, let us say, university gives 80% weightage, 20% weightage for the survey, that is the indirect. So 80% direct attainment plus 20% indirect attainment. Again, out of 80%, 50% are for university exam and 20% for internal assessment. क्योंकि जो एग्जाम डायरेक्ट था उसके भी 2 कंपोनेंट हैं, एक इंटरनल असेसमेंट, एक एक्सटर्नल असेसमेंट. So 50% direct external attainment plus 30% direct internal assessment plus 20% indirect attainment. Now, डायरेक्ट में क्या था लेवल 2, 50% ऑफ 2, 30% ऑफ 2 एंड 20% ऑफ 3. ये 2, 3 कहां से आया? इट हैज कम फ्रॉम हियर. Two, 3 has come from here. So we find that these numerical computation lead to the average of around 2. So we will say for this course, attainment level is 2. For this particular course example which I have taken for this students. Now let's look at the assessment attainment of POs, attainment of program. That was attainment of course outcomes. Now it is a course attainment of program outcomes. Here again, let us focus on the direct assessment tools. Average POs and PSO obtained from COPO attainment in slide 3. Please see here. This is from here. Average POs are obtained from COPO attainment in slide number 3. In slides को मैंने different number दिए हुए intentionally make it clear. Like now the direct tools are average जो वहाँ से आई थी, and the indirect tool of program exit survey, alumni feedback, parent feedback, and so on. Now let's take the illustration. Suppose outcomes of 4 courses. Suppose outcomes of 4 courses. Those courses are उसको मैंने उसका नाम रखा है 2 CO, 3 CO, 5 CO and 8 CO. Let us say ये जो 4 courses हैं, they map to particular POs, that is PO3. Let us say 4 courses हैं जो कि PO3 को मैप करते हैं. Repeat. I have taken an example. There are 4 courses labeled as 2, 3, 5, 8, which map to PO. हमने मैपिंग मैट्रिक्स लिया था ना, ये वाला. They map to, for example, CO1 maps here to 5. So I have taken here the attainment level for each of the 4 courses explained in slides 8 and 9. Attainment level for 4 courses 8 and 9. मैंने ये example आपको दिया था 8 और 9. Course outcomes. Now PO3 attainment. तो attainment COs की हमने पहले निकाली. Now PO3 attainment will be based on attainment levels of direct and indirect assessment. PO attainment will be based on direct and indirect. Suppose, I'm taking example, the attainment levels are direct assessment, which I'm giving with the marks as 80%. The second course is high. Third course is medium. 5th course is low. And 8th course is high. Then attainment लेवल डायरेक्ट विल बी जो मैंने यहां पर निकाला था ना, 2 ये वाला, ये जो है दिस वी कैलकुलेट फॉर दी courses 2, 3, 5 and then we add them and take an average. This is the direct attainment of PO. Now, indirect assessment, we are deciding at 20%, which will be surveys, feedback, analysis, which we customize to average as per the level 1, 2, and 3. Let us say, let us assume level is 2, जो हमने पहले भी किया था. So attainment of PO3 will be 80% of direct and 20% of indirect. Now 80% of 2.25 and 20% of 2 will lead the attainment of PO3 as nearly 2.2, which is the medium level of attainment. Taking into illustration the examples I have given. Now, this is the attainment of one PO, PO3. We need to calculate this attainment for all program outcomes. In this example, I have considered 12 plus 3, 15. Take a minute, please, just one. त्रिपाठी जी अभी बात करते हैं, मैं अभी वेबिनार में बिजी हूं, अभी बात करते हैं, ठीक है? Yes, please, sorry. So we calculate this PO3 and similar calculations are to be done for all the program outcomes. In my example, I have taken 12 plus 3, 15. In the case of diploma, it could be 8, pharmacy, it could be 10, doesn't matter, but it gives you an idea of what it involves. Similar calculations are to be done for all the 15 program outcomes. Then we concern the overall attainment of program outcomes. Here is a calculation, again, same thing. Prepare course outcomes, table of each subject. Get program outcomes for the program. Prepare CO mapping for each subject. For each subject, I to find, because there are 96 courses, for each course of subject COG, they go from 1 to 4 or 6 depending on this. For each POK, prepare, this is a summary of what we have done, prepare COP mapping table, and then calculate COPO for all J, that is, for all POs. The overall attainment of program outcomes will be, this is what we have done for all the POs. Now, overall attainment of program outcome will be, calculate the percentage of students who achieved COPO target at scale of 3. We are using a scale of 3. Average COIJ attainment, number of students who achieve target, we have a total number of students. If more than 80% level will be 3. If more than 70% level will be 2. If more than 60% level will be 1. So calculate average COPO mapping for all these things for all J. This symbol V inverted symbol says for all J. Then calculate COPO J attainment. This we did in slide number 2. Then calculate percentage of COPO JK attainment is equal to COPO attainment where average COPO JK mapping. Then calculate PO attainment, which is the percentage of COPO attainment into average of COPO mapping. This is how these computation is done. I have explained to you the various elements involved in this calculation, how average, how direct and indirect are incorporated in this. Of course, you have to sit down, take your data, and feed these into these formulas. Then you will be able to compute attainment of course outcomes and program outcomes. Now, thanks for your kind participation and attention. Now, you will be having certain questions, certainly, surely. So let us look at those. Hanji, Bilwinder ji.
Hanji sir, thank you very much, sir, for your very informative session. So there are certain queries already in the chat box. So may I read those queries?
Hanji, aapa dekhne aa, please daso.
So there is one query, sir. Does target level need to increase every year?
Now, for example, if you want to show the improvement, let us suppose if you take the number of students, then you can keep the target level and show the increase in the number of students. We have two options. No?
Yes, sir.
Supposing target level, you say this year 70% scored more than 80%. You keep the target level fixed, but increase the number of students. Right? So this is again your choice. What you want to prove when it comes to the improvement.
Yes. Right, sir. Right. So there is next question that please tell how course exit survey should be designed.
अरे यार ये this is a separate thing. ये जो है ना कोर्स सर्वे जो है इसके लिए तो we need a separate session. क्योंकि ऐसा होता है ना उसमें बहुत सारी चीजें आती हैं. That is, you take a course, you take how the teaching method, what are the assignment, the delivery, and so on. तो उसके लिए तो I think we need a separate discussion.
So definitely we'll have some time one session on that also. We'll request you and then we'll arrange. And sir, there is next question: how to calculate indirect attainment? methods we know, but how to calculate values?
Just a minute. Now let me go. Which slide was it? Can you? A question है, sir, what about the number of POs in diploma courses? See, in diploma courses, POs is generally, I think, 8 or 9. You look at what your accrediting agency tells you. But generally, in the, let's say, in the case of diploma, we have 9 or 8. Please remember, you can add 1 or 2 yourself also. The computation style remains the same. Right?
Yes.
Now we were looking at now the question was the course attainment level. Mr. Dhaliwal?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The course
So
outcome.
Question was to how to calculate score for indirect methods. Like we are using here score. Here, sir, in the last.
ठीक है. How to calculate the attainment level? No?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This
Now
last.
let us say take the total number of students. Then see in the indirect method, the student have to, or the person has to fill up the questionnaire, isn't it?
Yes.
And now it is indeed the questionnaire. Example, I have taken the example, total number of students who filled more than target marks in course exit survey. A course exit, you will design a course exit survey separately and give them the marks. From the marks that we get from the whatever their format is, we decide this thing. Which means this is a separate exercise, which means how to prepare the course exit survey. Course exit survey will be dependent upon, as I mentioned earlier, the contents, the delivery, the assessment, and some other factors also.
Yes. Yes, sir. So there is one more query. What about CEOs? About 2 or 3? If so, we have 2 or 3 CEOs.
नहीं, ऐसा है. See, 2 or 3, you can do it. But now you tell me what you want your students to learn. 2, 3, if it is a very simple subject, let's say you are giving only 1 hour per week or 2 hours per week, that means contents are not required. So if it's a 1 hour per week, then you can have 2, 3. No one stops you from there. But in those 2, 3, as a faculty member, we have to demonstrate what is the student learning out of that. CO है ना, course outcome है. अब मान लीजिए एक कोर्स का सिलेबस इतना है that you devote only 1 hour. See, in 1 hour, what do you expect the student to learn? Learning. It could be mainly, for example, maybe cognitive learning. It could be like this.
Yes.
Right? So this is something which again is dependent on. Normally when we say 4, 5, now, so that is for a course where there are 3 hours per week. When again 5, 6, or it could be 4, 5, 6. This only means it covers what you want the student to learn from that.
Yes.
Now, sir, is there any criteria selecting target level for diploma courses? The procedure is same. Please, procedure is same. See, don't only here difficulty comes. See, many of the time, faculty members not appreciate the, let's say, the significance of many of these things. Otherwise, process is same, procedure is same. It could be BTech, it could be MTech, the procedure remains same. And sir, target level should be set from previous result at the beginning of semester. Yes, you can decide that, but then you have to justify this.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes,
Just
sir.
Deepika, madam.
So I think these are the only questions. Okay, sir, there is one more.
Sir, how PS is related to? Oh, yes, yesterday we saw that. See, Dr. Reena, POs are program outcomes. They are specified for a complete program. For example, diploma or degree or master's or graduate, whatever it is. Now, for illustration purposes, look at the program outcomes given by accredited agencies, supposing NBA. They have given 7 for diploma and 12 for engineering degree. Now, these, if you look at these 12, they don't specify that it's a mechanical engineering or it's a civil engineering. It's an BTech degree. Computer engineering doesn't specify that. See, PSO means program specific outcome which you specify. Supposing we have civil engineering, तो 12 NBA DA तो 12 हैं. So PSO 3 you will design for civil engineering, 3 or maybe it's electronics engineering, and those 3 will be such. They highlight what are the special features learning of the program that you have given. That's what it will mean. So program specific outcomes means what are additional outcomes you expect from a student, or compared to what the, let's say, what the institution has given or what the accreditation agency has given. That's how they are designed and related. Yes, please.
Yes, sir. Yes. So, sir, I think.
Sir, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Yes. So once we will set the attainment levels, that should be remains the same for next succeeding years. For one course.
Please repeat the question.
So So once we will set the attainment levels 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Then for each course, it will be changes. It will be remains the same for next succeeding years.
Really, once you decide 3 for each,
or it will be changing.
Once you decide 3 for each course, then stick to 3, right? Because you can have 5 for all these, you can have 3 for all these. But once you decide 3 or 5, then stick to that.
No, for the in the next succeeding years, that levels will be means greater than 60, 70, 80. That that percentage will be remains the same.
No. For one side, let's say you are demonstrating for 3, right? Then you stick to that, and after that you can change that. See, that's why we say keep it reasonable in the beginning, and then don't say I will change next time. I will change next time, because that would not give you comparison. Here, when I say comparison, it means you are demonstrating the improvement. If I go on changing my goalpost, then proving the improvement will be always questionable. So please change it only after 3 years, so that you have demonstrated improvement, and give the reason of changing it.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. I think, sir, you have answered all the queries, so there are no more queries. So it is now time to wind up the session. So, sir, I would like to thank you very much for explaining in details about the assessment and attainment of COs, POs, as well as PSOs. I'm sure that the example calculations discussed by you will help the participants in calculation their COs, POs at their institutions. So I'm sure that you will also accept our invitation for upcoming programs also. So, sir, thank you very much for your time and effort for delivering today as well as yesterday. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Dhaliwal. I am really obliged and thankful to all the participants for their keen interest, because this indicates that students or I say participants will be able to do much better, improve the quality, get the NBA accreditation, and succeed in life, improve things. Thank you very much, all participants, and thank you, Professor Dhaliwal.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.